At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the San Francisco Giants. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Altis One. Enjoy the ultimate viewing experience with Altis One, only from Optimum. By the Aetna Better Health of New Jersey, healthcare provider of the game. Codella Family Practice. For more info, go to CodellaFamilyPractice.com. And by Hyundai, get a great deal more than a great deal on all new Hyundai vehicles. See your Hyundai dealer today. Ready for a slice of late summer baseball? Here it comes. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the third game of their four-game series against the San Francisco Giants. Jeff McNeil continues to make an impression as he pushes toward a 2019 berth at second base for the Mets. So far, so good for McNeil. 4 more hits last night.
Well, he had more than a few hits last night. He had a 4-for-4 night. That was the game winner right there. That most impressive base hit, a double down the line off Tony Watson. His first 27 games in the big leagues, hitting .326. He's hitting .342 for the month of August, and on a current tear over 500 6-game hitting streak. You know, if this team is in the race right now, as was projected, he would not have had this opportunity. But since the team has kind of floundered most of the year, he's come up and taken advantage of his opportunity.
He's already had a couple of 4-hit games. First Met rookie to do that since Ike Davis 8 years ago. Meanwhile, Noah Syndergaard goes to the mound for the Mets tonight, trying to be his dominant self, but also trying to cut down on the stolen bases.
You're right, Gary. You see his numbers. Those are his last 4 starts after he came off the disabled list. Very pedestrian for a guy like Syndergaard. So you're right. 2 things I'm going to be watching for. This San Francisco Giant team is offensively challenged. He should dominate this lineup. And second, you know, it was embarrassing for him to give up those stolen bases against the Phillies. He's got to stop that tonight.
Casey Kelly is a former first-round draft pick of the Red Sox. He makes his second start for the Giants.
Yeah, his first start, you can see it here against Cincinnati. 9 hits in 4 1/3 inning, but he only gave up a run.
So the Mets, after tying up the series last night, take on the Giants again tonight on a beautiful day at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. of the New York Mets. Celebrate game day with M. The Shake Shack pack for just $25 per ticket is an amazing way to enjoy a Mets game at Citi Field. Your Shake Shack pack includes a Mets game ticket, a single Shack burger, and a shake. Tickets are subject to availability. Purchase your Shake Shack pack today at Mets.com/Shake Shack pack. Ford leaderboard, Mets RBI leaders. The note at the bottom is the relevant one. The Mets RBI leader plays for the Phillies. He has 58. Michael Conforto, with 4 RBIs last night, now has 51. Continue on. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Beautiful night in New York. Mets and Giants ready for some baseball. Noah Syndergaard on the mound. His first pitch is coming right up. Kings Point is here tonight, playing catch with their caps.
Nice.
Nice catch.
Let's see. Can they catch the Zach Wheeler toss?
Well, put some air under it.
Got it.
No, I think someone dropped it.
I think I saw it drop.
Yep.
Never know when the hats are going to pay off. Nice to have folks from the Merchant Marine Academy celebrating its 75th anniversary out on Long Island. Noah Syndergaard getting ready for his 18th start of the year, trying to get out of the doldrums after taking a loss in Philadelphia, outpitched by Aaron Nola his last time out. Here's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Giants. Steven Duggar moves up to the leadoff spot with Andrew McCutchen getting a rare day off. McCutchen's played the most games of any Giant this year. All the lefties are back in there tonight. Panic and Belt and Crawford. They all sat last night against Steven Matz.
See the Toyota numbers for Syndergaard. The one that jumps out at me is more hits than innings pitched. With the kind of stuff that Noah Syndergaard has, you would think that he'd have less hits than innings pitched.
And your Lexus Metsy defense. Interesting, Jack Reinheimer, really a shortstop, gets his first start at short for the Metsies. And Dominic Smith where he should be at first base. And this has been your trio out there in the outfield pretty much on a regular basis.
Rookie center fielder Steve Duggar will lead off against Noah Syndergaard. Last time Syndergaard faced the Giants, it was with the season on the line in 2016, the wild card game against Madison Bumgarner. Noah could not have been better, 7 scoreless innings, but Bumgarner lasted longer.
Yeah.
First pitch of the night from Syndergaard, in for a strike, and we're underway. That was a brilliant effort by Syndergaard. He gave up singles to Denard Span and Angel Pagan, struck out 10, but came out after 7. Giants won it in the 9th on the Connor Gillespie home run against Jerry's Familia and the Mets' 2016 season, and their last postseason berth ended.
Well, Noah left after 7, and Bumgarner stayed in the game and got the W.
Left after 9.
Yes.
With the job completely done.
That's right.
Bumgarner will take them out tomorrow afternoon, the final game of the series against Jacob deGrom. That should be something. 0-2 to Duggar leading off, and he fouls away the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and already Syndergaard coming out throwing a little harder than he did in his start Friday night in Philadelphia.
Well, it's interesting that one shot we had was a little off center, but it looked like the ball was coming out of the white uniforms in center field.
Little pop up into shallow left, and Conforto coming on to get it, and that's the first out of the night. I would imagine with a left-hander on the mound tonight with all those white uniforms, that could really be an issue.
Yes.
Particularly if you're a little side armor.
Oh, yes. Food time.
But they detected a shorter line at Shake Shack.
Did a little reconnaissance.
Here's Joe Panik, 0 for 6 in this series. It's always a homecoming for Joe when the Giants are in town. Born in Yonkers, went to high school in East Fishkill at John Jay High School, not to be confused with John Jay High School in Cross River. Or the outfielder.
Well, we have that picture.
Fly ball down the left side, out of play. Well, I'm always amazed that there are 2 high schools in the northern suburbs, both of which are named after the great Federalist John Jay. And Joe went to the further north of the 2 in East Fishkill. Good changeup by Syndergaard, and he gets ahead on Panik, 1-2.
Panik, he's noticed choking up an inch. Good sinker right there on that changeup. Great spot.
The pitch was missing for Noah in his last start.
That's a pitcher's pitch right there.
Buster Posey on deck, and Panik carves one foul on the slider, and that'll go out of play.
There's 2 different ways to throw a changeup. You can either really bury it in your hand or hold it very loosely on the end of your fingers. He does it very loosely. That's why he can throw it 90, 91 miles an hour and still get movement.
1-2 coming to Panik. And he fouls away the fastball.
That's the only way I can equate it. If you were holding an egg and trying not to make sure you broke the shell, that's how you'd hold the baseball.
Buster Posey, who was the subject of some rather startling news last night, is nonetheless in the lineup. Another changeup misses low, 2-2. Reports came out in the San Francisco Chronicle last night that Posey's going to need season-ending hip surgery. Buster said after the game it's been discussed. It might happen, but they haven't made that decision yet. So here he is, continuing to play. 2-2, and Panik goes down swinging. Syndergaard throwing bullets, and he's got his first strikeout of the night.
Bullets and elevating that fastball up and in on Panik.
There's nothing wrong with this pitch, huh? That is some serious gas.
Well, Noah was on with us earlier in the series, and he talked about what happens when he tries to elevate. And I thought what he said to you was interesting, Ron.
When he said that when he tries to elevate, sometimes he flies out with that front shoulder. That really is the thing he's always had to work on early in his career, keeping that front shoulder closed. He prefers to pitch down in the strike zone. But with so many hitters liking to pitch down, you've got a counter upstairs.
And it also gives him another weapon, much like DeGrom. DeGrom doesn't pitch entirely upstairs. He can hit the knees.
Posey grounds a 2-hopper to Reinheimer. His first chance at shortstop. He throws out Posey, and Syndergaard's got a 1-2-3 opening inning. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Mario getting the night off. Jose Bautista hits leadoff for just the second time this year. Jack Reinheimer, a shortstop by trade, gets his first shortstop start for the Mets.
Well, talking about shortstops, you see the Land Rover numbers. Casey Kelly, when he was a first-round pick by the Boston Red Sox, they weren't sure whether he was going to be a pitcher or a shortstop. In fact, his first full year, he played both.
He had 173 in the Gulf Coast League. That pretty much sealed that deal.
Yeah, well, you know what that means when they sign you as a pitcher, everyday player?
Yeah.
It means you got a great arm.
Bautista 0 for 7 in this series. And Kelly's first pitch off the plate. Kelly spent most of this year in the minors. 23 starts for AAA Sacramento. 10-9 there with a 4.78 ERA. Called up on the 10th of August, so he's only been up less than 2 weeks. Pop foul back and out of play. Made a couple of relief outings and then a start against the Reds on Friday. And now his second start tonight, taking Derek Rodriguez's spot for the moment. Rodriguez is supposed to come off the DL and pitch on Friday for the Giants. A generous strike on the corner from Lance Barrett, and it's 1-2.
Lance Barrett usually is a guy that will give the pitchers a little extra on that outside corner to righties.
And a foul tip held by Posey. Bautista retired on the changeup for the first out. Lance Barrett calling the balls and strikes. Wayne's cousin Tony Randazzo at first. Brian O'Nora, the crew chief, and Chad Whitson round out the crew.
Got to credit Mark Simon. He sent us a little note about Lance Barrett and his tendencies, which is always a great thing to have.
Well, here's Jeff McNeil, who continues to open some eyes. He's had hits in his last 6 at-bats, 3 shy of a Mets club record. Jose Vizcaíno, the only Met to go 9 for 9. Four for 4 last night, a pinch hit the night before, and a hit his last at bat in Williamsport, and he fouls one away, and it's 0-2.
Nice place to grow up, Santa Barbara. Not too shabby. Beautiful part of the country.
Montecito.
Oh, 2 from Kelly, and McNeil takes up an in, 1-2. Casey Kelly made his big league debut with the Padres in 2012. Boston traded him to San Diego in the deal where the Red Sox got Adrian Gonzalez. Padres got Anthony Rizzo in that deal too with Kelly. Breaking ball at his feet, 2-2. His curveball's always been his best pitch.
And he's really just the opposite of Noah Syndergaard, who has that beautiful long arm action. Really kind of a short arm action by Kelly. Just brings it right to his ear and fires.
Kind of like an infielder.
Yep.
In the air, right center field, deep in the gap. Duggar going back near the wall. He can't get it. It's off the fence. Around second, McNeil. He's going to go for third, and he'll make it standing with his second big league triple and his 7th consecutive hit. Right now, you just can't get Jeff McNeil out.
Keith, he's making it look easy.
Well, he's certainly wearing it out. And here's the changeup. And he got it over the middle. He stays back real nice on this. And just a flick of the wrist, and he hit this ball 380.
Well, we've talked often about his 19 home runs in the minors this year and how that was the first time he'd ever hit for any power. But the ball comes flying off his bat. 7 for his last 7. Infield in now for Todd Frazier. And he takes a fastball below the knees, ball 1. Todd 0 for 6 in this series. And the Giants with Syndergaard on the other side, taking no chances and playing the infield in early. And the curveball drops in for a strike. 1-1.
McNeil continues to hit well here at Citi Field, unlike most of the Mets.
Yeah, he's hitting 500 now at Citi Field.
Gee.
15 for 30. That's pretty good, right?
That's a little bit of a flick, like a Richie Hebner a little bit here. It's kind of, he likes that ball down, that's for sure. And not a big follow through.
Remember against the Reds, he hit a home run here in the upper tank on a changeup, first pitch changeup. So that stays back on that changeup well.
But you also mentioned last night when he had his infield hit, the way his body moves toward first base, kind of like Ichiro Suzuki.
Yeah.
He's got that flow going. Frazier bounces one foul.
Well, what he does do, or maybe you agree or don't disagree, Keith, he keeps his path of his bat is in the strike zone a long time. That's the one thing he does do.
Well, his contact rate has been phenomenal since the day he came up.
I like the way he sprays the ball around the ballpark.
Kelly needing a strikeout. Frazier makes contact, knocked down by Crawford. The runner holds, wide throw, and Bell cannot get the tag on Frazier, who's safe at first as McNeil stays at third. Well, you have the Gold Glover Crawford with a tough play. Mets did not go on contact, and the Giants do not get the out, but McNeil does not score.
Well, he had him at first here. The nice backhand knocks it down. Ball kind of came up, but the throw, he makes the throw. It's an out.
And he just barely missed the tag. It's going to be an error charge to Crawford on the throw. Did McNeil make a bad read there?
He didn't make the proper read, I don't think.
You know what? When it's not contact, Gary, always the third base coach says make the ball get through the infield, because you don't want to get doubled up on a line drive. So your natural reaction is going to be, I mean, if the ball gets through, you walk home.
So you're more conservative when they tell you you're not going in contact.
You do not want to get doubled up.
So even if you read off the bat that it's going to be a difficult play for an infielder?
Well, he could have held his position. Yeah. He went back.
Conforto, 4 RBIs last night, including a 3-run homer, and Michael pops one up behind third. Racing back Longoria, and he makes a nice play. Tagging at first Frazier, he walks into second as the throw comes into home plate.
Boy, where's Crawford on that? He's got to be the cutoff man there. You can't. It's allowed Frazier to advance to second base. Now you got 2 men in scoring position. Longoria here has a long run. He doesn't know he's got to throw the ball in.
And Frazier read that immediately, went back to tag, and walked into second with no play on him.
So they did rule that an error.
Yes, they did.
How about that?
So now second and third and 2 out. And Kelly with a chance to get through it as he faces Austin Jackson, who started his year as a Giant, has gone 2 for 10 in this series. Put in the tying run driven in last night. He flies this one to center field, but Duggar has plenty of room. And Kelly finds his way through the opening inning despite a triple and an error. Mets do not score. No score. Second inning, no score. Noah Syndergaard had a 1-2-3 first. He'll face Brandon Belt leading off in the second. Belt 2 for 6 in this series and takes a fastball for a strike. It'll be Belt, Longoria, and Crawford for the Giants in the second. Giants have been in a run drought. They've scored 16 runs in their last 7 games, including the 3 last night, which was like a cornucopia for them. That changeup's working early for Syndergaard, and it's 0-2. Remember this last start, we talked about how Noah relied too much on his fastball early against the Phillies, clearly changing the game plan this time and incorporating more of his secondary pitches early in the game. Another changeup misses, and it's 1-2. Noah got ambushed in the first inning in that last start in Philly. Gave up 3 hits and a walk to the first 4 batters. Broken back grounder, and that's foul. Belt to go back for a new stick.
Belt's pretty quick inside when the ball is down. His hole, like a lot of left-handed hitters today's game, is above the belt inside. Pardon the pun.
Should be right at the belt. So he can, you know, belt it. 1-2 coming. And he tried to hold, but he went around. Strike 3. Chad Whitson punches him out from third base, and Noah's got his second strikeout. Let's go back to that pop-up where Frazier wound up taking second base when Longoria went back in the last half.
Well, look at the shortstop at the middle of your screen there. It's Crawford. Now, he's got to bust over to third base, and he's not. The first baseman on your right cannot. He's got a runner at first. He cannot come down. And, you know, the Giants are playing like a team that's 3 games under 500, and pretty much out of it. So, I mean, that's just a lack of just a hustle. He's got to get there.
You know, in more traditional defenses, when the third baseman at shortstop would run over a pop-up in foul territory, when you knew the runner was not going to tag up on the play, you then would go where Crawford went and become the cutoff man, because you know he's not going to tag up.
The pitcher should go.
Pitcher should go, and then you become the target for Longoria to throw it to. You catch it, and you hold Frazier to first base.
Now, where did Kelly go on that?
He went to back up the home plate.
Home plate.
Which is generally the pitcher's responsibility.
You just have to, have a feel and read if you think the guy's going to go. You got to know the guy on third base. Can he run? Is it deep enough? All of those things factor in microseconds.
I think that he made the right choice. And if you're playing a normal defense like the Mets are set up right now, Crawford probably makes that play. And you get your third baseman, and that's what Ron's talking about, is when you got your two left side of your infielders going out in shallow left, the pitcher has to come in and be the cutoff. Now, there's no one on first base. If you got a hustling first baseman, Gary, he can come down the line, make himself useful.
It's always some place to go. Longoria tops one foul. Evan Longoria delivered the keynote last night, a 2-run first inning home run against Steven Matz. Giants have been home run starved. They are second from the bottom of the National League in home runs, and that was just their second long ball in the last 9 games. 1-2 coming, and he just got a piece of that slider to foul it back. The Giants right near the bottom in most offensive categories in the National League. 13th in runs scored, 14th in home runs, 13th in on-base percentage, 13th in slugging. You get the picture. Also the second fewest walks and the 5th most strikeouts. That's a bad combination.
Yep.
1-2 coming, and he struck him out with the slider. Back-to-back strikeouts for Syndergaard to start the second.
No, Longoria had no shot on that one. He's way off the plate. He can't cover that slider. Well,
there are the numbers we were talking about.
We're just backing up what you just said, Gare.
Thank you. Always appreciate the support. It's Tommy Rockland. He's right on top of that.
Tommy.
Here's Brandon Crawford, and he hits the first pitch on the ground down to Dom Smith. He handles it with aplomb, and that retires the side. 6 up and 6 down for Syndergaard to start his night. Noah looking much sharper tonight. No score at Citi Field. Home second inning. Mets threatened but did not score in the first. Dominic Smith leads off in the home second, getting the start at first base tonight against Casey Kelly. And he hits a rocket to deep right field. Back goes Hernandez. He takes a look, and it's out of here. Into the second deck. Dominic Smith on the first pitch he sees hits his second home run of the year. And the Mets have a 1-0 lead. And boy, did he need that.
First ball, fastball hitting. Nice going, Dom. Maybe he's more comfortable. I know he's more comfortable. He's playing first base where he belongs.
After all his ups and downs this year and the left field misadventures here on Monday, Dom gets a hold of a pitch right in his wheelhouse and makes it disappear.
Well, he got that one. That's a bomb.
So 1-0 New York. Now Kevin Plawecki. And he takes a curveball for a strike. That Mets home run means City will donate enough for No Kid Hungry to provide 20,000 meals for kids in need. Plawecki 0 for 4 in this series. And a half swing and a miss, 0-1. There's been a lot of conversation over the last few days about Dom Smith and what the Mets should do with him from now until the end of the season. Jay Bruce is coming back from his rehab assignment, probably to join the team tomorrow and be activated on Friday. The plan is for him to play some first. Wilmer Flores has been playing most of the first base. So the question is, how do the Mets figure out what they have with Dom Smith, and what is the proper usage of the first base assets that the Mets have over the last 5.5 weeks of the season?
How you figure it out is that you stick him at first base every day. That's how you figure it out.
Yeah, but you got Jay Bruce there, and they're both left-hand hitters.
Who's playing most of the time in right field? Bautista. So Jay Bruce goes to right field. Dominic Smith has got to play, in my opinion.
I agree. You got to see what you got.
Yeah.
Bobbled by Crawford, but he recovers in time to throw out Plawecki. Crawford's already made one error tonight, almost made a second.
Well, here's the Bomberoni here. He blasted that one.
Bomberoni.
Vinny. But I agree, Ronnie. Look what the Mets are right now. And you got a young man right there who's a first baseman by trade. I want to see what he's got to do. You let McNeil play. Give him McNeil a look.
There's Syndergaard getting tied up inside. I think the contrary view is that the Mets, for better or for worse, have 2 more years with Jay Bruce. Right? They signed him to a 3-year deal. And I think his foot issues notwithstanding, he struggled in the outfield early this season. So the question is, if Jay Bruce is going to be with you next year, as it's almost certain that he will, where does he play? Because the other piece of that is that with Conforto and Nimmo, if you look at them both as starting players, they're both better off playing corner outfield spots with somebody else playing center field.
I think that if he's healthy, 100% healthy, Jay Bruce is an outfielder, not a first baseman. You can play him at first, do whatever you want to do. But Dominic Smith is your first rounder. And all I hear from the organization, especially from Mickey, is they've been talking to him about grinding out at bats and focusing. Well, how is he going to grind out at bats and focus if you don't play him?
Syndergaard strikes after the second out.
Well, if they put Bruce at first base, and if I'm Dom Smith, that kind of
Thought it down.
It tells me that I'm not thought of much here in this organization, and maybe I need to move and hopefully get traded somewhere where I'm wanted.
But if you're the organization and you have any intention of trading him, you also need to boost his value, because this has kind of been a lost year for Dom. I mean, he was hurt early in the season. He really didn't produce much at Vegas, at .255 with 6 home runs in those optimal hitting conditions, as Jack Reinheimer contributes a base hit, his 4th hit in 12 at bats in the big leagues, and a 2-out single. I mean, in order to, you know, if you were to use Dom as trade bait, you need these next 5 weeks to boost his value, if that's how you're thinking. So that also argues for playing him.
I mean, I would Personally, I would sit him down and say, Dom, you got 5 weeks. Show us what you can do.
Well, the master plan going into spring training and the offseason, what the Mets did, was they felt they had to add some pieces. They added the right pieces. Frazier. They brought Bruce back, and it just didn't happen. It just blew up. I mean, Jay wasn't performing, and whether it was Jay's hip or whatever, but he was not performing. The Mets went for it. They thought that they were going to be a contender and a chance to be in the postseason, a very good chance, and it did not work out that way. And I think some of your young players have suffered from it.
One and one to Bautista, who struck out his first time up. Well, all of those off-season decisions in terms of, who's going to be part of this organization next year will get handled by somebody else, maybe someone who's not even in the organization now. The future general manager of the Mets, whomever that might be. That's it sharply right at Crawford. He boots that one. Boy, is he having a rough night. Reinheimer goes to third, and the Mets have runners at the corners, so that's the second error of the night for the three-time Gold Glover Brandon Crawford, who could have easily had a third as well.
He just looks a little on his heels there, and that ball was not a bad hop. He didn't completely get in front of the ball. And we'll segue right to your Jeep Giant defensive infield. Posey in the lineup. Crawford is a three-time Gold Glover. He's made 2 errors tonight. Very unusual. And in the outfield, you've got a bunch of guys that, boy, that's a brand new outfield. I'll say that.
So here's Jeff McNeil sitting on 7 straight hits. He get a triple off the fence in right center his first time up. He's already had a couple of 4-hit games. Fastest that any Met has had his first 2 career 4-hit games. And now Kelly falls behind him 2-0. Well, Kelly's had some misfortune behind him. He was able to work out of it in the first inning after Crawford's initial error. Now a 2-out error prolonging the inning, and Kelly has more heavy lifting to do. Reinheimer at third, Bautista at first, and McNeil takes it off the plate, and now it's 3-0.
Twilight Zone song. Interesting.
Jeff has drawn only 6 walks, 90 official at bats. He's usually putting it in play early in the count. And he swings 3-0 and lines it into right field for a base hit. That'll bring in a run. Reinheimer comes in to score 8 straight hits for Jeff McNeil. And the Mets have a 2-0 lead. He's now 1 shy of a club record.
Jeez, and the beat goes on. Oh, there's a fastball right down the pipe. But you know what? You earned that 3-0. Having a good eye at the plate. You earn a hitter's count. You got a manager to give you the hit sign. How about that? Thank you very much, Skip.
So the Mets cash an unearned run. Todd Frazier will try and keep it going. Frazier reached on Crawford's throwing error in the first inning, and he takes a curveball out of the strike zone, ball 1. Jeff McNeil hits in 8 straight official at bats. Jose Vizcaíno in 1996, John Olerud 1999. Each had 9 straight hits, and that's what McNeil will be shooting for his next time up. There's a strike, 1-1 to Frazier. By the way, Olerud not only had 9 straight hits in his 1999 streak, he got on base 15 straight times.
He was a walking machine, wasn't he?
He was a good hitter.
Good hitter.
Very good hitter.
That tied a National League record.
Batting champ. Don't give those crowns away, you know.
Driven to deep left center field, headed back toward the wall, and it's 1 hop and up over the wall. That should be a ground rule double, although they didn't rule it that way. So McNeil's going to try to score from first. He comes home, but he's going to be sent back because the Giants will challenge that. It bounced up over the orange line. It's an RBI double for Frazier. For the moment, 2 runs come home, but the Giants will certainly challenge this, and you see Longoria talking with the crew chief Brian Onora about it. So they'll probably have to send McNeil back to third. See the ball bounce and then hop up over the orange line, which takes it out of play and makes it a ground rule double.
Oh,
a bullet by Frazier.
Yeah, fastball, belt high, inner half. Very costly error by the Gold Glover, Crawford.
So 2 runs have scored after that 2-out error. 3 at the moment. I mean, right now 4 runs have crossed the plate, but it's almost certainly going to be reverted to 3. See, our bug operator's already ahead of the game.
Yes.
Scoreboard in the ballpark says 4-0, and rightly so, because McNeil did cross the plate. But our bug operator already knew that they were going to reverse the call.
Very nice.
Before it even happened.
Surprised that they didn't see that.
Yeah, it kind of rattled up against the M&M sign, which is out of play. And Gary DiSarcina talking to the Mets replay guy, Jim Kelly, just to make sure that the Mets know what's going to transpire here. And again, you'll see it hops over the orange line, which means it's out of play, and that makes it a ground rule double, which means McNeil can only advance as far as third. And it should take about 10 seconds for them to figure that out in Chelsea.
11. 12.
And so here comes McNeil, and he'll be placed back at third base. So it's an RBI double for Frazier, his first hit in this series.
2-seam fastball trying to come in with a little sink, and the ball was just true and straight. Frazier got to it.
So McNeil and Frazier each taking advantage after the 2-out error by Crawford kept the inning going. 3-0 New York, and 2 in scoring position for Michael Conforto. And he goes after a first pitch changeup, 0-1. Conforto fouled out to third base his first time up. So the Mets have had plenty of traffic against Casey Kelly these first 2 innings, and he has been stymied in part by his defense. 5 hits for the Mets, 2 errors committed by the Giants in the first inning and 2/3. And Conforto fouls one away, and they'll go out of play, and it's 0-2.
Last 2 starts, there's only 2 starts for Kelly. He's gone 6 innings and has given up 14 hits.
But only 2 earned runs.
Yeah.
Both the runs in this inning will be unearned, and any further scoring as well. Conforto, the 8th man up in the inning. Austin Jackson would be next. And Michael takes it wide. 1-2. Conforto hit an opposite field 3-run homer to cap the Mets scoring last night in the 8th inning. 18 home runs now for Michael. That came off a lefty last night. He's now hit 6 of the 18 against lefties. McNeil at third, Frazier at second, and Conforto just got a piece, and he caught Posey.
Off his toe. The right toe.
Oh, that's the
instep.
Just to
exactly
the spot where that shin guard doesn't cover.
Right, almost like the ball of your big toe, that little joint, the bottom joint, the base joint.
Got swooshed.
We were talking about Posey and his impending hip surgery. He's got a torn labrum in his hip. He also has bone spurs, and it's really had an effect on his power more than anything else this year. Not using his lower half. He's now gone 167 at bats since his last home run. Only 5 home runs this season. Former MVP, brilliant player, but clearly compromised this year. And who knows, we might be watching his last or nearly last game of the year. Andrew McCutchen sitting out tonight after playing the first 2 games of the series. 1-2 to Conforto, and he grounds one on the right side. Panic gets in front of it, and that retires the side. But the Mets cash 3 runs in the second inning, led by Dom Smith. First pitch of the bottom of the second, and Dom loses it into the upper deck. Second home run of the year for Smith. And the Mets get Noah Syndergaard a 3-0 lead. Available at a lower price for $49.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. Noah Syndergaard, fortified with a 3-0 lead, faces Austin Slater leading off in the third. And Slater takes a fastball for a strike, 0-1. Slater 2 for 5 in this series, playing left field tonight, played first base last night. Here's Spectrum high-speed pitch. It's not fair.
Never.
Oh, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Let's win that battle 4 nights out of 5. Line the other way, and Slater's got the first Giants hit. So Syndergaard had retired the first 6. Slater leads off the third with an opposite field single.
Good hitting on the slider here away. Not much movement on that pitch from Syndergaard. Nice job by Slater.
His slider right now, Ronnie, it almost looks, is he getting too much on top?
Yeah.
It's not getting a lot of horizontal break.
That's right. It's just coming straight down.
Straight down, right?
Now Gorkys Hernandez playing right field tonight.
With the debut last night in Chicago on the south side of Michael Kopech, maybe you can get Syndergaard and Kopech, then we can have a battle maybe for Syndergaard in that speed of pitch.
Well, the only other guy who's been in the neighborhood this year among starting pitchers is Luis Severino, but his numbers have come down a little bit. Hernandez 1 for 5 in this series, but just 4 for his last 40 in what's been a breakout season for him, and he fouls it away, and it's 1-1. So the Giants with their first base runner of the night. Slater has 4 stolen bases this year. His last start in Philadelphia, Syndergaard gave up 5 steals, but what made it far worse was that guys who don't run well, who don't ever try to steal bases, were stealing against him. And Mickey Callaway said before the game tonight that Noah and Dave Island have been working diligently to try and quicken up his delivery to the plate.
Yeah, I do have to say I disagree a little bit about how to handle the running game for Noah.
Hernandez has to vacate.
Noah's hit 7 batters this year. I know they're trying to work on him slide stepping, being a little quicker to the plate. I think that day has passed. I think the kind of pitcher he is, stuff comes first. So what I would try to teach him, he's very athletic, he's very quick, of course he can throw hard enough. A really good move to first base, I think, would change the whole dynamic for Noah. I'd watch Julio Teheran's move in the winter and try to get a move like that.
So are you saying that it's easier to teach a pitcher a better move to first than it is to get him to quicken his delivery without compromising his stuff?
I find that really big athletes, pitchers, it's hard to teach them to quicken up to the plate.
Right.
Chris Young comes to mind. So I would say leave that alone. His stuff comes first. So let's teach him a real quick move. That might give you a couple tenths of a second to catch it a little extra time.
We were talking earlier, Ron, about Dwight, how they stole on him. I worry about when you shorten up a pitcher from the stretch that he loses his velocity or his command because he's tightened up his delivery. Where Doc developed a pretty good move to first base. He had good quick feet.
Slater runs on 3-2, and Hernandez pokes it the other way for a base hit, and Slater will go first to third. So a couple of opposite field hits for the Giants, and they've got runners at the corners with nobody out.
Couldn't have placed that better.
It's 2 hits on sliders this inning.
Yep. Just kind of butt flying out, let go with one hand, opened up. Look at the second baseman covers, a little bit too quick. Opens up the whole right side of the infield. And that's not going to fool anybody.
Yeah, but some guys try it all the time.
Who are you talking about?
the guy in Chicago.
The new guy in the Cub uniform.
By the way, good luck to Murph, and we'll see him next week in Chicago. Fouled off by Casey Kelly, who's 0 for 2 at the plate this year. 2 for 16 in his career, the former shortstop who hit 173 in the Gulf Coast League. Murph, by the way, hitting leadoff for the Cubs tonight and playing second base. First time he's hit leadoff since he was a Met 4 years ago.
Against Francisco Liriano for the Tigers.
And Kelly bunts it right in front of the plate. Plawecki will take the sure out. 2-4 on the sacrifice for Kelly. And that moves Hernandez to second as Slater holds at third. 1 out.
You know, I was mentioning about the move. The reason I think also, I think you're working from behind. You're working defensively to try to hold the running game. If he learned a good move, that would be an offensive weapon for him to use. It would make him even feel better about how to handle the running game.
Steve Duggar, the batter. Mets keep the infield back. Second and third, 1 out with a 3-run lead. Duggar flied out to left his first time up. Well, of course, it's not just Syndergaard. Steven Matz also has had a big problem holding runners, and as a whole, the Mets have given up by far the most stolen bases in the National League. And Duggar swings through the fastball, and it's 0-2. Steve Duggar, rookie from Clemson, 24 years old. 31st start since his call up before the All-Star break. Getting the chance to lead off tonight with McCutchen sitting. Syndergaard ahead of him 0-2. And he hits it down to third, coming to the plate, but Frazier bobbles the ball and has to settle for the out at first. Hernandez advances to third as Slater, running on contact, comes home. Frazier would have had a play had he handled it cleanly, but that little bobble forced him to go to first, and the Giants are on the board. It's 3-1.
Yeah, he kind of made the bobble here, and he just about forgot all about Hernandez here. Still had plenty of time. He didn't even look him back. That's very heads-up base running by Gorkis. There's someone with his head in the game. Runner on third. This is well, that was on contact. Well, you're told on contact, go.
So a runner at third with 2 out for Joe Panik, who struck out his first time up. So a couple of soft hits and a ground out conspire to play to run, and Panik yanks one down the right field line. It hooks and goes foul. Ooh. Well up in the second deck.
I think that was another breaking ball.
Did Panik play in that first ever game here for St. John's? Remember they played
Georgetown, right?
The first game before the Mets played here. That's a base hit in the right field for Panik, and that'll bring home Hernandez with the second run of the inning.
Very good at bat by Panik right there, who has not looked good in this series.
So Panik has his first hit in the series, and it cuts the Mets lead to 3-2.
There's that ball. He wanted to come inside, needed that dart, Ronnie, and it just kind of. Now, is that a product, Ron, of him throwing that 2-seamer, that sinker, where instead of going with a 4-seamer there?
I think he just missed his spot, missed his execution.
Frazier handles the 2-hopper from Posey, and that retires the side, but Syndergaard, after getting a 3-run lead, gives 2 of them back. And in the middle of the third, 3-2 New York. Performance this season with a special 4 for $48 ticket offer in select seating locations for all remaining Mets home games. Tickets are subject to availability. For tickets, visit Mets.com/DeGrom. Jake will make the start tomorrow afternoon for the Mets against Madison Bumgarner in a marquee pitching affair. Tonight, Noah Syndergaard and Casey Kelly have each had their issues early on. That's some cloud sitting over the left field rim. Austin Jackson leads off in the home third. Jackson flying to center his first time up. Dom Smith on deck, then Kevin Plawecki against Kelly. Off speed, hit right at the shortstop. Crawford makes this play cleanly.
Like Crawford got caught flat-footed again, it seems like.
He's already made 2 errors tonight. Bobbled another one. This one he at least was able to handle with no bobble.
I mean, on the infield here, modern infields with the grass cut so close, it's like a putting green. You know, it's not like the corner infield positions had to really beware, and the infielders up the middle could kind of relax a little bit. That ball gets to the middle infielders as fast as it does the corner infielders.
I would say in many respects today's infield grass is like the infield AstroTurf that you guys play.
Sure, there's no doubt about it. I mean, all the parks.
Dom Smith hits another ball hard, but Panic, playing deep in the shift, is there to throw him out. So after homering his first time up, Smith grounds out, and Kelly has 2 quick outs in the third. So now Kevin Plawecki, who grounded out his first time up. And he skies one out to center, and Duggar with plenty of room out there puts it away. A 6-pitch inning for Casey Kelly as the Mets are out 1-2-3. And we stay here at Citi Field for the veteran of the game.
First Data salutes our veteran of the game.
Thanks to the greatest military force across the globe, America remains the land of the free and the home of the brave. During each Mets home game, we recognize a veteran of the game. And here's our honoree.
Corporal Mark Otto of the United States Marine Corps served our country for 4 years, including deployments in support of Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He is currently the Executive Director of the United War Veterans Council. And here he is, our Mets veteran of the game, Mark Otto. Presenting Mark with an American flag that has flown over Citi Field is Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom. First Data salutes those who serve.
First Data and SNY salute tonight's veteran of the game, along with those service members who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation and to the service of the entire military community. Brandon Belt leads off for the Giants as we go to the 4th inning. Mets with a 3-2 lead. Noah Syndergaard had a flawless first 2 innings with 3 strikeouts, but 3 hits. Brought in 2 runs for the Giants in the 3rd. And Noah sports a 1-run lead as we start the 4th. It'll be Belt, Longoria, and Crawford. There's the spray chart on Brandon Belt, StatCast AI, powered by Amazon Web Services. So you've got a guy who hits the ball to the left side of second base on grounders 30+% of the time, and yet they still play 3 infielders on the right. That's interesting.
Right.
Popped up along the third base side, and that'll go out of play. I mean, that's far above the norm for a guy who gets overshifted like that. And especially when you have a hard thrower on the mound. You would think he would not pull the ball as much.
Yes.
I guess they put more emphasis on the 54% to McNeil and to his left.
You know, we talked last night about the shifts as it relates to a particular pitcher, going back to Zach Wheeler's dissatisfaction 2 nights ago when that pop-up from Alan Hansen fell in for an RBI double. As Belt cracks one down the line, foul. And, you know, we were wondering the kind of considerations that go into deciding how you shift a particular player, and Steve Gelbs went and did some research to find out just how complicated that process is. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, it's very complicated. It's very in-depth just how the Mets as an organization figure out where they want to position their infielders, and it starts off relatively general. They just look at the big picture. So a guy like Brandon Belt is up. What does he do against righties like Syndergaard? Then it gets a little more technical where there could be differences. A high velocity guy versus low velocity. What he does on off-speed pitches, where in the zone, inside, outside, up and down. And then it gets even further as the Mets analytics staff looks at what guys do. Do they make any adjustments with 2 strikes, with men on base? When they are shifted, do they look to make any adjustments? And then it gets even more micro, let's put it, where the Mets take a look at the last 30 days of that particular batter and say, okay, has he made any adjustments in these last 30 days versus the overall body of work?
So we had the number 54% from McNeil to the line. So in the last 30 days, maybe it's at 65%. That might change how you play him.
And maybe it's different versus, you know, a guy like Syndergaard who pitches high velocity versus some of these other guys that have lower velocity. That's broken down as well.
So I think that's interesting that they break it down in terms of recency, not just the whole body of work. But then you get even more micro than that.
Yeah.
And it's what we were talking about yesterday in regard to Wheeler is when you get within a particular game and see how a particular hitter reacts to a particular pitcher, do you then make in-game adjustments? And if so, how is that done? Belt flies one to shallow center, and in comes Jackson to get it. 9-pitch at bat, won by Syndergaard, and Belt's retired 1 out.
You know, I think what we were talking about is that within a game sometimes I totally understand that you know or have a feel for where the ball's going to be hit when it's on the ground. But sometimes within a game, sometimes you have a feel of a certain hitter against the pitcher. But I'm thinking that there's no reward for any of the coaching staff to have a feel and say anything and move an infielder, because what happens if it's hit against the shift? Now you're hitting against the analytics that you've put so much work into.
And I really feel that, you know, a slump is over maybe 50, 60 at-bats, and you're out of character as a hitter because you're in a slump, you're out of rhythm. How does that affect? They're saying 30 days. Well, if you factor in 4 at-bats a game, you know, 60 at-bats, that's almost 2 weeks of games that you're in a bad slump. And that is not going to be indicative of the hitter that you are when you're really mired in a bad slump. And I wonder, Steve, if they factor in, look for a player that's in a slump and then what his tendencies are when he's in a streak that's 6 for 52 or 6 for 58.
Well, Keith, I think the other thing to add, and I did not mention this, but they also take in game plans. So the coaching staff, the pitcher, the catcher, they're looking at what guys have done recently and how you can get them out. And once they figure out the pitcher's plan against said batter, then they also use that and factor that in and adjust where they want to position their infielders that night.
So my point is, Steve, that when I went in a slump, I would be out in front, and I had a tendency to pull too much. And you know doggone well I was not a pull hitter. So when I break out of my slump, I'm going to start using the left center field gap. I'm just wondering if they're in tune to that, if it's that refined.
And there's a whole nother piece to this, too, which we haven't even broached, which is that what we're talking about here is infield defense and shifts. Now, there's another whole piece, and that's where a guy's tendencies are in the outfield. That's it down the right field line foul. And teams have not, I think, at least most of them, haven't gotten quite as sophisticated about outfield shifts, right? Now, a ball that, like Hansen hit the other night, is a little pop-up between the infield and the outfield. Now, the reason that Rosario couldn't catch it is because he was shifted toward the middle because of where they figure Hansen was going to hit ground balls, right? But he hits a little pop-up to shallow left, and I'm wondering how you can use your outfielders to change the equation.
Well, think of it this way. With 2 strikes, what is the average distance that Hansen this year has put a ball in the air to left field? If it's a very short distance, then you can bring your left fielder in.
Longoria has an opposite field hit.
The problem with the outfield shifting is that what I've found with my time around the game is nice hitting by Longoria, wide open space. Talking about shifting.
That's 3 hits by right-hand hitters, all to right field in this game.
What I found in my time in the game is that, especially corner outfielders, there's really like an area that they like to play in. They don't like to play too shallow or too deep. There's a certain kind of area they like to play in.
And you know, there's also this factor. A guy like Syndergaard. There are probably hitters that go up there. I had it in my career. You know, Nolan Ryan, just as an example. I saw Nolan Ryan good. A lot of hitters didn't. You know, does that factor in? I had difficulty with this guy. I'd go up to Ray Knight. Oh gosh, I'm right on him. You know, so there's the individual aspect to this.
Yeah, that's harder when you're playing teams from the other division you don't see often. But I would think for intra-divisional games, you play those teams so much and see those pitchers so often. I would think that head-to-head matchups would have to factor in as well to the shifting procedures for a particular hitter against a particular pitcher, right?
Yeah. I think you got to have eyes on too as the game is playing. The coaching staff, I'm sure they're watching in the dugout. I mean, we're watching up here, and we got the center field camera. And last night, you know, Hansen was obviously overpowered by Wheeler. And after the second at bat, you got 2 in a row where he just totally overmatched him, overpowered him. I'm not going to give the opposite field to him. I'm going to change my plan.
3-0 to Crawford, and he takes a strike.
You know, the other thing here, guys, with what you're talking about is I wonder if with the players that pitchers are more familiar with, maybe in division, if that's when the pitcher tends to speak up a little more. As we heard from Callaway yesterday, the pitchers do have say over what that defense is doing behind them.
Too high to Crawford, and he's on with a walk. This is a very hard-working inning for Syndergaard. He had a 9-pitch at bat with Belt, an 8-pitch at bat with Longoria. Now he walks Crawford, and the Giants have 2 men on.
And I like the analytics. I find it fascinating that you have all this data, and you know, the more and more I learn about it, it's a very, very useful tool. But I just don't think it should dominate.
Be the only tool.
Well, I think it all comes down to you've got a paradigm shift in terms of the way teams prepare for games. And so much comes from the front office through the analytics department that coaching staffs are now very reliant on for helping to formulate their game plans. And I guess the question is, absent the analytics guy sitting in the dugout, which he's not, what can you do within games to help you win a particular game based on what you as a coaching staff and as players are noticing within the micro pieces of that game. And I wonder whether the reliance on the data going into the game has made it more difficult to make those eyeball adjustments during games.
Yeah.
Austin Slater had an opposite field hit his first time up and scored a run. Nothing and 2 to Slater.
I mean, there's more strikeouts today. There's more emphasis on home run. There's not the 2-strike hitting. When I played, you had a lot of hitters like Pete Rose, just to name a few, that were tough outs, were gap-to-gap hitters, and tough 2-strike hitters. And we would always shift with 2 strikes, pitcher ahead, particularly our pitching staff, yours truly next to me. We would shift to the opposite field on hitters because they were behind the count. And at a disadvantage with a pitch, our starters were quality.
Did you see that? 3 looks by Syndergaard back at Longoria, who's not going to steal the base, but that's some of the things that he's working on. We've never really seen that from Noah with a runner on second. No need to do it here. Longoria's not going anywhere.
1-2 coming to Slater, and he struck him out. 98-mile-an-hour sinker. 4th strikeout for Syndergaard, and that's the 2nd out of the inning.
He just buried that sinker in on him from the first pitch of that at bat and just was relentless with it.
I mean, you can see when he throws a sinker like that why he is so wedded to working down in the zone, right?
That's where he gets his movement. That's where he gets his swing and misses.
26 pitches in this inning now for Syndergaard, and more work to do as he takes on Gorky Hernandez with 2 out and 2 on. Slowly hit down to third, and Frazier will go to first with it. And Syndergaard gets out of trouble in a 27-pitch 4th inning. The Giants strand 2, and Syndergaard holds the lead. Middle of the 4th, 3-2 New York. Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Time for today's edition of Streaking and Struggling. The Cardinals are 16-4 in August. They are now in the #1 wild card spot in the National League. They beat the Dodgers last night And the Dodgers now 3.5 off the pace in the division, 2.5 in the wild card, and just 7 games over 500. Noah Syndergaard quickly down in the count 0-2. Only bad thing that happened for the Cardinals last night, Carlos Martinez comes off the disabled list. They bring him in relief, and he takes a line drive right in the chest.
Like right in the sternum, right?
They were scared because, you know, it's a dangerous area to get hit. And he was doubled over for a long time, but appeared to be okay when the game was over. Syndergaard down on strikes. 3rd strikeout of the night for Kelly. 2nd time he's gotten Syndergaard. Well, the bunched up wild card sits this way. That's with the afternoon action today, with Milwaukee having won their game behind Freddie Peralta. They've now tied the Cardinals for that top wild card spot, with the Rockies and Phillies a game behind. The Phillies jumped on Steven Strasburg early tonight, but the Nats have come back to tie that game against Zach Eflin. Strasburg's first game off the DL. The Nats are in this weekend, so with Strasburg pitching tonight, that means the Mets will not see him over the weekend. Scherzer, him they'll see.
Every time.
Jack Reinheimer had a base hit to center field. Reinheimer making his 4th big league start, or 4th start this year. He had 1 start last year with Arizona before the Mets picked him up. Reinheimer singled and scored a run in that 2nd inning. And he takes a strike. Jack finally getting a chance to play his actual position tonight for the first time as a Met. They've used him at 3rd base. They've used him in left field, but he's a shortstop. And playing there tonight with Rosario getting the night off. And Kelly misses away 2-2. Lays off the curveball, full count.
Fastball away.
And he struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Kelly to start the 4th. He's retired 6 in a row after giving up a couple of 2-out RBI hits in the 2nd. And now Jose Bautista. Bautista reached on the 2-out error by Crawford in the 2nd. That opened the door for those 2 extra runs. Jose 0 for 2 in this game. Batting leadoff for the 2nd time this year at age 37. Last time the Mets had a player this old lead off before Bautista, you got to go back to 2004 when Gerald Williams led off for the Mets late in the season.
I wonder who would be the oldest leadoff hitter
Ever
in Met history.
Maybe Ricky Henderson.
Richie, how about Richie Ashburn?
Was he that old?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm asking you. We'll get Big Dave on it. He's sitting over there twiddling his thumbs.
Big Dave.
You know, he comes up with a gem of a piece of information, and all you can do is ask him for more. Please, sir. I want some more. And Dave's hard at work looking for more.
He's got it.
1-2. High fly ball, deep left center. Duggar takes a look, and that ball's out of here. A long home run off the bat of Jose Bautista. The Mets' oldest leadoff hitter in 14 years hits his 11th home run of the season. And the Mets now have a 4-2 lead. .342 big league home runs, and that one was hit a ton.
I think he got a pitch right down Broadway. Wants it away. Oh boy, right down the middle. And he made him pay. No doubt.
And would have been out of the Great Wall of Flushing. Well, here's Jeff McNeil sitting on 8 straight hits, 1 shy of a Mets club record. He's got a triple and a single today after a 4-for-4 night last night. And he grounds one down to first, and it's bobbled by Belt, but he makes the play, and so the streak comes to an end. 8 straight hits, still a pretty heady feat for the rookie. Bautista's home run extends the Mets lead 4-2 after 4.
He hit it.
Well, that's tomorrow afternoon. The owner of the greatest postseason pitching performance in the history of baseball against a guy putting together one of the best regular seasons in recent memory. Bumgarner and DeGrom on the Citi Field mound at 1:10 tomorrow afternoon. There are the Citi probables. Bumgarner, who missed the first 2 months of the season with a broken hand, has come back in fits and starts. DeGrom has been simply brilliant start after start after start. Casey Kelly chases one out of the strike zone, and Syndergaard has his 5th strikeout.
Well, even with some teams using the opener, still one of the great things about baseball is when you look in the paper or online and you see a great pitching matchup.
Yep.
And both outstanding athletes. Bumgarner the edge as far as the hitter's concerned.
Well, the 1.71 ERA, if it stands, would be only eclipsed by Dwight Gooden's 1985 season when he finished at 1.53. First pitch curveball for a strike to Steve Duggar.
I think Dwight was around that mark at the end of August, and he turned it on in September and lowered it to 1.53.
I think he was even higher. I think it was like 1.8 toward the end of August, and then was just untouchable in September. And, the 276 and 2/3 innings is a mark that DeGrom will not approach. 268 strikeouts.
Yeah,
he might
could get there.
That. Yep.
Complete game shutouts he won't get to either.
I doubt that.
Neither does anybody else.
He doesn't have enough starts left. What's he got? 8 left? 7, 8?
Well, the Mets have 37 games left, including today. So divide that by 5. It's 7.
Maybe throw one in extra at the end.
Possible.
Think about it. Dwight had 16 complete games, 8 shutouts. If you started your career today, probably never reach those numbers.
Well, DeGrom's got 3 complete games and 1 shutout in his career.
And he's as good as it comes.
And the 3rd one came in his last start.
That's right.
And somehow other Met players are actually wearing that number.
At least it's not cool.
Hey, if you took all the 16s and all the 17s since you guys played, you would not fill out an all-star team.
Well, that's big shoes to fill.
That's true. Those numbers are safe. 1-2 to Duggar, and the changeup. Somehow he laid off, and it's 2-2. Noah's had too many of these longer at bats the last couple of innings. It's boosted his pitch count. Threw 27 pitches to 5 batters in the fourth. 2-2. And Duggar again lays off, and it's 3-2. Yeah, Doc's ERA at the end of August was 1.81. Then in September, he went 4-0 with a 0.34 ERA to finish at 24-4, 1.53.
Wow.
Let's see if DeGrom has that in him. Eighth pitch of the at bat, and Duggar pops one up in shallow left. Conforto angles in and puts it away, 2 out.
Well, what was amazing, I mean, obviously the Cardinals, he had to face the Cardinals twice that September. I know he beat them after your outing, Ronnie, in that series, 85 in St. Louis. That was a great hitting lineup that didn't strike out, and they put the ball in play and they stole bases, and he dominated them.
We should map out who DeGrom's going to be facing coming down the stretch. That's lined over short, just beyond the reach of Reinheimer, and Panic's got his second hit of the night.
Maybe when we do our Reinheimer got up there, didn't he? Maybe when we do our schedule, we can put a little star where DeGrom's going to pitch.
You know where you can put him now that we have next year's schedule? March 28th.
Yeah.
Nationals Park. Mets will open up in D.C. next year on Thursday, March 28th. Home opener the following Thursday, March 4th. Here's Buster Posey. April 4th, excuse me. That's the month after March.
Yeah.
Posey's been up twice, grounded out both times. 1 for 8 in this series. And that fastball just missed somewhere. Geico Sports Night comes up after the post game tonight. Jets news, Giants news, Major League news. Danny Murphy got his first hit as a Cub, drove in a run just moments ago. Cubs up 3-1 in Detroit in the 5th. Syndergaard behind on Posey, 2-0. I didn't short circuit the Major League recap roundup, did I?
Oh, no. Interesting take there, right? 2-0.
I know. No comprende.
Runner goes. Little dribbler by Posey. Plenty of time with Posey running, and Syndergaard throws him out. And Noah knew exactly how much time he had because Posey just has such trouble getting down the line right now. So Syndergaard gets through the top of the 5th unscathed. He's got a 4-2 lead halfway through. Score presented by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. That scored 3 runs in the second, one of them on a Dominic Smith home run, added a Jose Bautista home run in the fourth, and they lead 4-2. It's just now an official game, 4.5 in with the home team leading. That might be a good thing because the wind has just kicked up as though there is a storm on the way. I mean, it's blowing a gale right now.
I mean, this is the first year in this booth that we've had rain, I mean, a little bit of rain coming into the booth.
Which is almost impossible. It has to go sideways to do that. Todd Frazier drove in a run with a double his last time up, and he takes a strike from Casey Kelly. The fans are oohing and aahing about the win. That's how precipitous it has descended on the ballpark. And there's paper blowing all over the place in the outfield. When this happens as a pitcher, all of a sudden, how do you adjust to that?
You don't even feel it. I never went, boy, it's really windy. What pitch should I use? Whatever. You just plow through.
Doesn't it affect your pitches?
It can, but you still, you don't know how it's going to affect, so you don't worry about it. You just, like I said, just plow through.
Candlestick Park, cold windy night.
I think the plastic bag plastered across the screen is a perfect image.
Yes.
Cats and dogs living together. That's pulled foul.
The only time that you might think a little differently is if you're winning the game and it's the 5th inning and you have to get through that to make it an official game. You might think, well, maybe I should step up my pace a little bit.
I wonder, was it more of a factor back in the days when there was a lot more dust on the field?
Dust, that definitely was a factor. And also, you knew that if you got a heavy downpour, game could be canceled because it just didn't handle water like these fields do today.
What about as a hitter, Keith? Sudden wind, does that make a difference?
You can always step out. If you're always worried about dirt getting into granules, getting into your eye. But you can always step out. I never liked.
Fly ball out to right center. See how the wind affects it, and Hernandez, no problem, 1 out.
I never liked the paper going across the field, particularly in front of the mound, in between home plate and the mound. That was a distraction for me. But the hitter can step out. I mean, I played enough in Candlestick where I had to step out and get the dirt out of my eyes. But
Here's Conforto, who's fouled out and grounds it out 0 for 2. And goes after a first pitch changeup, 0-1. Well,
that was very
you get a
interesting.
scrunchie if you need one.
Oh, nice.
As someone who used to have a ponytail, popped up into shallow left. And Slater chasing it through the wind and stays with it for the 2nd out.
I was thinking only a man who has daughters would know that word.
No.
No?
I had long hair long before they did.
Scrunchy. My life depended on it. I couldn't come up with scrunchy.
Really?
I mean, I know what it is, but I could never come up with that.
Did your mom and dad let you grow your hair long in high school?
Of course not.
Mine either. My dad, no way.
We used to go to the barber and get the number 1.
Now, when you were, say, 15, 16 years old, if you had rebelled and tried to grow your hair long, I mean, would your dad have dragged you to the barber?
Well,
I cut it himself?
I was at a Catholic high school, so we had to have certain hair requirements.
Jackson lines one to left. Slater coming on and reaches down to grab it. Side retired. 1, 2, 3 for Casey Kelly. Syndergaard getting ready to stay erect in a breeze. 4-2 Mets after 5. Final game of this series tomorrow afternoon. DeGrom and Bumgarner, the headline attractions. 12:30 the coverage tomorrow on SNY. Brandon Belt leads off in the 6th inning and hits a soft liner right to Jeff McNeil in the shift. 1 pitch and 1 out for Syndergaard, who could use some quick outs. 1 away now. Evan Longoria, who had a base hit the other way his last time up.
Defense on the pull here. 3 on the left side. And what does he do? Hits it to the open, vacated right side.
There are hits to be had.
It really had an inside-out approach, didn't he?
So this time they adjusted somewhat and do not play the full shift against him. So I have an answer to your question, Keith.
Yes.
You asked who was the oldest Met to lead off.
In Met history, yes.
The oldest one?
Yes.
Guy you might have heard of, Willie Mays. He was 42 when he led off for the Mets.
Wow.
In 1973.
So that's a good trivia right there.
Second oldest, another Hall of Famer, Ricky Henderson. Third oldest, not a Hall of Famer, Tony Phillips. Was 39 when he led off for the Mets.
Tony
in 1998.
Phillips.
Well, there's the spray chart on the infield for Longoria.
And you know, I like the where Dom Smith on the right of your screen's playing. That's where I played a lot, because a lot of right-hand hitters, it is 85% right down the line. You give them the line. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And you had to know who were the right-hand hitters, Gary, that did hit down the right field line. And you only found out from getting burned, and that would have been Phil Gardner, #1, the former Pirate and Astro.
Bouncing ball toward the middle. McNeil positioned where he can get to it. 1-hop throw handled nicely by Smith. And they get Longoria for the 2nd out.
He's got time to plant here, and he just throws a little bowling ball over there. Nice long hop for your first baseman.
Guys used to do that all the time on AstroTurf.
Right.
You don't see that as much anymore, but that was a purposeful 1-hop throw. So 2 quick outs for Syndergaard in the 6th, and now Brandon Crawford, who's grounded out and walked 0 for 1. And he pounds one into the ground. This is as far as Noah went in his last start, 5 2/3 in Philadelphia. He threw 115 pitches in those 5 2/3. Here's a 94. And change up off the plate, 1-1.
Oh, good slider right there.
That was his best all night.
I'll use a line from Ronnie. That is unhittable.
Ooh. I thought you guys didn't say that.
You don't often say that.
It wasn't a strike, and that's just. I'm sorry. It's just that pitch is unhittable.
I'll never forget the time I was around Keith and Ryan Sandberg, and they asked me about some pitcher, and I said, you know, when he gets that pitch over, he's almost unhittable. They both looked at me like, what are you, nuts? No one's unhittable.
Rain is starting to fall. Crawford takes the breaking ball in the dirt. It's 2-2. Some of the fans moving for cover.
Oh, let me look at the old radar here, Gary.
A hard rain.
Well, once we felt that gale force wind come through, it was inevitable that some rain was going to fall.
Well, this should push through.
The wind, how long, Mr. G?
How do you know this?
Well, look at it. I mean, it's a little. It's not even a big patch, and the wind's blowing, so it should push through.
How long, Mr. G?
Oh, I have no idea.
Crawford keeps fouling him away. Well, it is an official game. And the rain just keeps coming down a little harder moment by moment.
Wow.
Well, the Merchant Marine is heading out to sea.
I mean,
you'd think if anybody could stand it in a rainstorm, it would be those guys. And that's on the inside corner. Syndergaard at 99 on the inside black. Gets Crawford looking, his 6th strikeout. And a 1-2-3 inning for Noah. Grounds crew at the ready. 4-2 Mets in the 6th. Heading for cover. Rain is still falling, but the grounds crew is going to leave things be. And we continue into the bottom of the 6th. Dominic Smith has already homered tonight. Swings at the first pitch and pops it up in foul ground. Longoria should have room and grabs it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Casey Kelly in the 6th. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Eamon? Braves with a 2-game lead on the Phillies when play began today. Phillies are 5-5 with the Nationals in the 4th. Here's Kevin Plawecki, who's grounded out and flied out 0 for 2.
Acuna's going to hit 30 home runs.
And remember, he missed. Didn't come up till late April, and then he missed a month because of injury. He's got 20 now. Good curveball by Kelly. A ball and a strike to Plawecki. Kelly's given up a couple of long balls tonight, also a couple of unearned runs, but he's acquitted himself just fine in his 2nd start for the Giants. It's only his 11th major league start. That's grounded right at the shortstop. Crawford, who's had a rough night, handles that one cleanly and gets Plawecki 2 out. Well, the ice cream provided by Good Humor, the official ice cream of the New York Mets, and it's good to see that the ice cream dog has gotten a promotion from mascot to driver.
I love it. It's using his back paws to steer.
He's looking up in the air. You got to keep his eye on the road.
I want to know, do you think Haji could pull off what that dog is doing right now?
Yes. Yes. Are you going to have an ice cream, Gary?
I'm
not.
But I don't want to. I don't upset the dog. I mean, the dog comes first, you know.
Well,
if you can promise me that no animals will be harmed, of course I'll have an ice cream. Jose Reyes batting for Noah Syndergaard, so Noah is done after 6 innings and 101 pitches. Got so wrapped up in the ice cream, we didn't see that Drew Smith was up in the bullpen. Smith's been a very nice addition for the Mets. Reyes started each of the last 2 games. 1 for 8 in the series, a triple last night, and Noah with a nice performance tonight. more like what we expect to see from Noah Syndergaard in terms of his velocity, his dominance, no problems with the running game.
Yeah, his last 4 starts before tonight, he's given up at least 3 runs in the game, so he stops that streak.
Reyes hits the curveball the other way, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Slater chases it to the line. Reyes heads to second. Slater bobbles it, and Reyes pulls in with a 2-out double. So he had a triple his last time up last night, and now a pinch hit double.
Breaking ball. Opposite field.
That puts Jose back over 200 for the season. Mendoza watch. Here's Jack Reinheimer. 1 for 2, and he takes the curveball outside. Reinheimer singled to center, scored a run in the second, struck out in the fourth. Hitting .308 in the big leagues. That's good.
Yeah.
Small sample size. For the former East Carolina Pirate. And he gets one in the air down the left field line, foul. And out of play. I love the vendor who manages to balance the hot dog cart on his head.
I know, isn't that hot?
That's quite a skill.
Oh, he looks like he's been at it a long time.
He's carted a lot of Nathan's famous.
Just identified a
career
taker.
Curveball smacked to center field. Back goes Duggar. He's got room onto the warning track, and he reels it in to retire the side. Reinheimer making a bid and coming up short. A double and 1 left against Kelly in the bottom of the 6th. Drew Smith comes out of the bullpen to protect a 4-2 lead as we go to the 7th at Citi Field. On the mound for the Mets tonight. Looking to rebound from some subpar starts. Dom Smith rebounding from the left field muff. Got the Mets on the board early. Jeff McNeil keeps on hitting. Giants were able to bounce back with a couple of runs, but Jose Bautista put a charge into one. And the Mets have a 4-2 lead as we go to the 7th. Drew Smith out of the bullpen to pitch to Austin Slater.
Yeah, you said he has been good. He's unscored upon in his last 8 innings, is Drew Smith.
His last outing came in Philadelphia. That was actually the Williamsport game. He worked a 1-2-3 eighth inning and was very impressive in doing that. Behind on his first hitter, Slater, who has a single and a strikeout tonight. And Slater cracks one to deep left center field, headed back toward the wall, and that is way out of here. Austin Slater with his first home run of the season in his 113th at bat. And that cuts the Mets' lead to a single run. It's now 4-3.
He's got a couple of hits tonight, a couple of runs scored, a home run.
And there was no doubt about this one.
Bochy has been trying to play the hot hand that usually has been Hansen. He chose Slater tonight, and he chose well.
Slater's never been much of a home run hitter, either in the minors or in the majors. He had 3 last year in 117 at bats, and now his first of this season. Giants have been home run starved of late, but they got one from Longoria last night, and now Slater tonight. And Gorkys Hernandez lays off.
Just straight over the top. No real movement from Smith, who doesn't have a lot of movement. He's a guy who tries to hit the corners.
First home run he's allowed in the major leagues.
I'll say mid-thigh, middle. Inner half. I was a little bit off.
You were in the neighborhood.
Was it? Very close.
Drake Blevins up in the Mets bullpen. And Hernandez lays off the curveball, and it's 2-2. Alan Hansen, switch hitter on deck to pinch hit, with Kelly's spot due up next. And then the left-hand hitters, Duggar and Panic. That's why Blevins is up. And a foul tip held for strike 3. And Smith has the first out in the 7th. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany quickly has another update. Eamon, you're back so soon. Cubs trying to snap a 3-game losing streak tonight and hold off the hard-charging Cardinals. Well, Hansen was on deck to pinch hit, but with the bases empty, it's going to be Chase Darno instead, and that'll leave Smith in the game to face the right-hand batter. Darno started last night at second base and went 0 for 3. So Mickey Callaway will hold off on Blevins with 2 left-hand hitters to follow. And Darno takes a fastball from Smith for a strike. Mets don't use initials for their players with same last names on the backs of their jerseys, which is probably a good thing. Oh! And Darno is hit by the pitch. So the Giants get the tying run on base in painful fashion as Drew Smith hits Darno with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Just want to make sure it didn't hit the bat and not the hand. But it got the hand. Anyway, with Dom Smith and Drew Smith, you couldn't even identify them by initials. You'd have to go to a second initial if you were going to delineate them that way.
That's right.
In their jerseys. Well, now you got the tying run at first. You've got Blevins ready in the bullpen, but Mickey Callaway is going to stick with his right-hander against the left-hand hitter Duggar. Duggar's gone 0 for 3 tonight, drove in a run with a ground out in the 3rd.
You know, a choice you could make here with the left-handed Duggar up. They might hit Hansen for him, but when you bring a left-hander in, you negate the running game, and Chase Darno has some speed.
Chase got the wheels in the Darno family. Trying to bunt his way on, but he pops it up for Smith. And that's the second out.
That's a thank you very much.
Why would you try to bunt?
Don't understand.
Down the first base side with a right-hand pitcher, number one, and a first baseman that's holding a runner on, which means he's coming off the bag. He's like playing in. I don't understand that.
It's also the second baseman is playing at double play depth, so he's in a couple of steps.
So Duggar is retired now with another left-hand hitter, Joe Panik, coming up. This time Mickey Callaway will make the move to Blevins. So Smith gave up a home run and hit a batter. He'll leave with a tying run on base, and Blevins will come in and try and get the left-hand hitter out. Ring-a-ding, the call to the bullpen, brought to you by Verizon. 4-3 Mets in the 7th. We'll be right back. Jerry Blevins has been on a roll lately. 9 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Comes in to face Joe Panik with the tying run at first and 2 out. And checks in on the base runner Darno.
Well, I think oh gosh, Mickey, I think left Smith in there. Excuse me, because I just had a blip there, a blip. Anyway, just to see what Smith's going to do in this situation. But this is the better hitter, the veteran hitter, Panik. He's got his left-hander out now. He's bringing in Blevins because he does want to win this ball game. So you got a little bit of both. You can see what Smith, how he reacts to a certain situation late in the ball game, tight.
Jerry worked a 1-2-3 10th inning on Monday night. And he pops a fastball in for a strike to Panik. Panik's 2 for 3 tonight, drove in a run with a base hit to right field in the 3rd, and then hit one to left center for a base hit in the 5th.
Also pulled the ball foul for a home run. Swinging the bat much better tonight.
He's got good career numbers against Blevins, 3 hits and 6 career at bats.
It's been.
And he fouls off the curveball, 0-2. Robert Gazelman getting ready for Buster Posey, who's on deck. Jerry's ahead 0-2. Darno not getting much of a lead.
It's not a bad time to run. 0-2 on panic. Anticipate breaking ball from Blevins. Jerry thinking the same thing.
Oh, I think he's shown him his best move a few times. And the curveball stays inside to Panic. 1-2. Almost turned his shoulder into that. It's been a nice month of August for Jerry. Continues to enhance his value for a potential waiver deal. Still 9 days to go for potential postseason teams to add players to be eligible for the postseason. There goes Darno, and the curveball down, and no chance for Plawecki. It's a stolen base for Darno, moving the tying run into scoring position. So Chase Darno has his first stolen base of the year. And that's the first stolen base tonight for the Giants. Syndergaard didn't give up a single one.
Oh boy, big lead at second.
Reinheimer keeping an eye on him. 2-2 coming. And the curveball off the plate. So after Jerry got ahead 0-2, he goes to a full count on Panic with Posey looming on deck. Three-two coming. Curveball popped up. Playable for Frazier. In foul territory. Side retired. Blevins gets the job done. Giants get closer on the Slater home run. 4-3 Mets at the stretch.
There are moments that you can anticipate, and then there are moments that completely come out of nowhere.
Gary Cohen's 30th anniversary series presented by Spectrum continues as he takes us back to May 8th, 2016, the night Bartolo Colon shocked the baseball world and my compadre here, Ron Darling. See the full feature available now on SNY.TV.
I only wish you could have been there, Keith.
Ronnie's chuckle was hilarious.
I got more joy out of watching that home run. See Hunter Strickland in the game. He was warming up a couple of nights ago, did not get in the ball game, but here to get some work.
Interesting that he's been working as the Giants closer of late, but being brought in here down a run in the 7th inning to face the top of the batting order. So Bruce Bochy engaging a little modern bullpen usage. Bautista homered his last time up, his 11th of the year, a long shot to left center. And good slider by Strickland, 0-2. Hunter Strickland just his 3rd appearance since coming back from the disabled list. He was out for 2 months. Why was he out for 2 months? Well, he wasn't happy with his performance. He punched a wall. He broke his hand. It's a story as old as the game itself.
I know there's always 1 or 2 guys a year.
Strikes out Bautista with a slider for the first out.
Good slider though here. Late break.
So it would appear as though Strickland is working back toward closing duties. Will Smith closed in his absence. Of course, Mark Melanson was supposed to be their closer, but has had so many issues that that's no longer the case. Jeff McNeil 2 for 3, had a streak of 8 straight hits ended his last at bat when he grounded out. 1 shy of a Mets club record, 4 shy of the major league record of 12 straight hits. And a comebacker. Strickland takes care of McNeil, 2 out. Tonight's start is brought to you by People's United Bank. Casey Kelly pretty good in his 2nd start for the Giants. Noah Syndergaard a big step forward in his latest outing. By the way, 12 straight hits. Johnny Kling with the 1902 Chicago Cubs.
Okay.
Pinky Higgins with the 1938 Red Sox. And Walt Dropo with the 1952 Tigers. 12 straight hits. 8 straight is not bad, though. And it is a Mets rookie record.
Rookie record. Okay.
Todd Frazier 1 for 3 tonight, drove in a run with a 2nd inning double. We've mentioned several times that the Met club record is 9. Jose Vizcaino and John Olerud. We didn't tell you about the other guys who had 8 straight hits. Brandon Nimmo did it earlier this year.
That's right.
It ended the play he got hurt. That ended up being a ground out. Remember, the ball hit his hand and rolled down to third. That ended his streak of 8 straight hits. Frazier unloads down the line. Back toward the corner goes Slater near the wall. It's out of here. Todd Frazier clears the orange line for his 13th home run of the year. The Mets' 3rd home run of the night. And they get that insurance run. It's now 5-3 New York. Frazier with an RBI double and now a towering home run that just got out.
Out in front, he's let go with 1 hand. And this was up in the air. I wasn't sure if the wind was going to get a hold of this and knock it down, but just enough.
Missed effort by Slater. Might have jumped a little too soon.
Left a mark.
So a 3 home run night for the Mets. So 8 straight hits. Nimmo, Jerry Grody,
Okay.
1970, and 1985. Guy wearing number 17.
I had 8 straight
8
hits.
straight hits.
Me?
You. Line to center field. Conforto's got his first hit of the night.
What year was that?
85.
Oh, that was a very good year I had.
Would have been better if you guys could have swept the Cardinals.
Oh, gosh. Well, I went 5 for 5 that game. We lost.
Foster hit into the double play. We remember. But that might have been part of your 8 for 8. I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Friedel will have to tell us.
I have no idea. I know the first at bat, Ronnie will remember, I hit a bullet. Mookie was on second. I hit a bullet that was just right by the wagon gate. That was 6 inches from being a home run. It was a line drive 2-iron. Well, not the wagon gate, the bullpen gate. And
but that's where they brought the wagon.
Clydesdale. Right. The Clydesdale was the wagon
in St. Louis.
The truck doesn't know. They interrupt. The wagon gate was where opening day they'd always bring out the Clydesdales
in St. Louis
with Mr. Bush. And with the Clydesdales and the big beer wagon and the Dalmatian that we just had on the ice cream.
Is that Dalmatian?
Same Dalmatian?
Yeah.
That's an old dog.
Mookie was on second. I hit it so hard, Ronnie, you remember, that Van Slyke played it perfectly off the wall. I hit it so hard I was halfway down the first base line. That's how hard I hit it. Mookie was tagging up for some reason, and I rounded first. Tommy Herr was out in short right, got the cutoff. And Mookie realized his mistake, and he was so fast he scored. But I didn't know Mookie was tagging up. I figured he was scoring easy. And Van Slyke, I thought he was going to throw to Tommy, and I couldn't advance. And then Tommy Herr got it, and Ozzie Smith was the trailer and said home. And he threw home. I couldn't go to second base. If I'd have gone to second base, it wouldn't have been the Foster double play.
Oh, bad base. So you're saying you went 5 for 5, but you messed up the whole game. Is that what you're saying? 5-3 Mets after the home run by Frazier. Head out on a cartoon adventure on an all-new episode of the SNY.TV digital series, The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Watch it now at SNY.TV/Coca-Cola.
Couldn't throw another finger on?
Did you notice the artwork? Your 4 fingers?
Hey, we haven't been animated since 2007.
That's right.
And the Haji portrait behind us in the sofa. Ronnie, what happened?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Jeez.
I'm going for the Purell.
Nice teeth, though, T. Robert Gazelman in to pitch the 8th. Buster Posey leads off. Buster's gone 0 for 3 tonight. 3 ground ball outs. There are the numbers for Gazelman.
So valuable in that bullpen. He and Lugo.
He pitched Monday night, 2 innings, 6 up, 6 down. And Posey, it's another ground ball. This one foul, 1 and 2. So your 8 for 8 was indeed that week, Keith.
It was
5 for 5 in St. Louis. Then you got 3 hits against the Expos the next night.
When the chips were down. Yes, thank you.
And when they fell where they met.
Well, hey, I was there.
A little better base running, we might have been a different fate in '85.
Yeah. Can't point the finger at me.
I think you give the credit to Van Slyke.
Yes.
That he made a great play.
He did.
Off the wagon gate.
And
the breaking ball gets Posey looking for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on.
Oh.
Well, there's a different expression on your face.
Got quite a chin on me.
John Stossel on the right. Look at Ronnie. Ronnie looks like
it's like Don Ho.
Like,
I do. I should be singing Tiny Bubbles.
Ronnie has a very friendly expression.
Just the opposite of usual.
Everybody thinks you're the friendly one.
This must be the 8th inning. All right.
Brandon Belt is 0 for 3. And Gesellman busts him inside, a ball and a strike. I still like the one where Ronnie was juggling the chainsaw.
Yeah, I do. Shot that in Florida, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I think eventually we should have a cartoon series, don't you think?
Since you two both watch so much cartoons, so many cartoons.
Well, you think about, you know, the people who've got, like, you know, Josie and the Pussycats, right? The Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, okay.
The Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yeah. They all had their animated series.
Didn't the Partridge Family or David Cassidy have one on?
Really?
Not sure.
That one.
I'm not sure.
Jackson 5.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Jackson 5 had their own.
I Alvin and the Chipmunks may be the closest comp.
Yes. Yeah.
Gesellman ahead 1-2 on Belt with Longoria on deck. And he struck him out with a fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gesellman. 2 down in the 8th.
I can't say enough about how Gesellman and Lugo have gone into that bullpen and just become great weapons for this Mets team. Now, those 2 innings you were talking about on Monday that he threw, he used his changeup more in that game. Hasn't used it here yet.
And he threw just 21 pitches in those 2 innings. He's made quick work of the first 2 in this inning, and he throws a fastball for a strike to Longoria. Mets have been in front since the 2nd inning. The Giants have put pressure on a couple of times, but the Mets have responded with the home run ball. Mets have hit 3 home runs tonight. Get this, it's the 15th time this year the Mets have hit 3 or more homers in a game, but only the 3rd time at home.
Wow, 12 on the road.
1-2 to Longoria. Bullpen over the last 25 innings coming into tonight, a 1.44 ERA. Smith gave up the home run to Slater in the 7th. But Blevins got his man, and Gesellman has retired the first 2. 1-2 to Longoria. Curveball misses low, 2-2. You are correct, Keith. Partridge Family animated series, 1970 to 74.
I thought so.
I know you watched every episode.
No, I didn't.
Top towards short, charging is Reinheimer, and he guns down Longoria to end the inning. 1-2-3 for Gesellman in the top of the 8th. We are nothing if not cartoonish.
Right.
I was a big Top Cat guy.
Home 8th inning, Mets up 5-3. Dominic Smith leads off against Hunter Strickland, who starts his second inning of relief.
You know, watching Strickland, I remember him as a guy that threw 95 plus. He's not approaching that. A lot of change-ups, sliders, as he starts to come back.
Dom Smith provided the keynote tonight in the second inning.
First pitch fastball off Casey Kelly. Upper tank, all over it.
Second home run of the season on the first pitch he saw tonight. Now he's got a 2-0 advantage against Strickland, and he takes up and away 3-0. Hunter Strickland has had a very odd career, right? I mean, he was touted as a future closer, never really became that. He came up with a bang for the Giants late in the 14 season, but then he had that dreadful postseason when he gave up, what was it, 6 home runs?
Yes.
7 home runs. 6 home runs.
6 home runs. Harper got him.
But he got a World Series ring. Smith gets under this one.
Oh, that was one to hit.
And Hernandez puts it away, 1 out. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. 1 out now, Kevin Plawecki. Plawecki's 0 for 3, grounded out twice and flied out. Well, this is interesting. After Gazelman worked a 1-2-3-8, the Mets have Daniel Zamora up in the bullpen.
So is
he going to be asked to look for a save chance in what would be his 4th big league appearance?
So he's raised some eyebrows, Gary.
Not the first. You've got the left-hand hitter Crawford leading off the inning, and then right-hand hitters Slater and Hernandez. It'll be interesting to see which way Mickey goes. Paul Sewald is up as well.
So do you start the inning with Zamora and then go to Sewald?
I mean, I'd be tempted to start the inning with Gazelman, but I think they're trying to limit his multiple inning appearances. He went 2 innings the other night.
And you got a day game tomorrow.
Yeah, but you got DeGrom tomorrow. And you got Lugo available tomorrow to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's never a guarantee, Gary. That's why they play the games.
I understand. Good point.
Cy Young lost games,
but he won 511. Or as Chili Davis said of Dwight Gooden in 1985, he ain't God, man.
Close to it.
Of course, Chili was the one guy who could hit him.
Yes,
he could.
And Plawecki goes down swinging. First strikeout, or second strikeout for Strickland, the second out of the inning. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Honda. Great deals are waiting at your Honda dealer. By Cash for Life from the New York Lottery, you could win $1,000 a day for life. And by Budweiser, the legendary lager for legendary moments with a wagon gate. 2 out and nobody on. Wilmer Flores will bat for Gazelman. Wilmer started the first 2 games of this series, 5 hits and 9 at-bats in those 2 games. He's hit over .360 for his career against the Giants. Strickland quickly ahead of him, 0-2. And Wilmer flies one down the left field side. And that will go into the stands. Crawford climbing the tarp. Showing a little late burst in his step tonight.
Well, that's the one thing, and I'm happy about the netting, but you know, those dives into the stands to try to make plays are gone now, which is good.
Oh. And Wilmer is hit.
It was a changeup.
I think 2 strikes. Wilmer was protecting the plate. That was a fastball.
Yeah.
Down the forearm. So the Mets have a 2-out base runner. And now Jack Reinheimer, who's gone 1 for 3 tonight, a base hit, scored a run back in the second. Giants 3 runs, 6 hits. The Mets 5 runs, 9 hits. We're in the 8th. SNY Super Slow Motion. It's brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. To a note to Reinheimer. Giants get a left-hander up in their bullpen with McNeil 2 batters away. Reinheimer hit one to the warning track in left center his last time up. Side block on call in the Giants pen. And that curveball stays inside. 3-1. You're right, Ronnie.
Yeah.
It's a very different version of Hunter Strickland. Bautista would be next. And Reinheimer watches one on the corner. There's that wide strike from Lance Barrett that Ronnie talked about early in the game. Now it's 3-2. So Flores will be in motion. 3-2, 2 out. And this one's well outside for ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. That's the first walk of the night issued by a Giants pitcher. And Kurt Young, the Giants pitching coach, will head out. Young spent a good portion of his career on the other side of the bay pitching for Oakland.
Pitching for Oakland and the pitching coach for Oakland for many years.
It's nice when you don't have to move.
One of the great guys. He was a great teammate when I played with Oakland. Don't have to move, and like all of us, he's got a little hitch in his giddy up when he walks.
The Braves are up 2-1 in Pittsburgh. In the bottom of the 9th, Johnny Venter's trying to close it for Atlanta. A.J. Minter's been doing most of the closing, but it's Venters tonight trying to get the final out. Braves with a 2-game lead heading into the night. Phillies have gone in front of the Nationals 6-5. That game's in the 7th in D.C. So now here's Bautista, who homered back in the 4th inning, his 11th of the year, 1 for 4 on the night. Bats with 2 out and 2 on in the 8th. And Jose takes a slider inside for ball 1. So after Strickland easily retired the first 2 batters, then got ahead on Flores 0-2. All of a sudden having trouble throwing it where he wants to. He hit Wilmer, walked Reinheimer, and now has to contend with Bautista. And Jose hits one weakly to Crawford at short. And that retires the side. Mets strand a pair in the 8th. We head to the 9th. Who's going to close this game? Mets 5, Giants 3. And guys, it's Daniel Zamora to take the mound for the 9th inning, his 4th big league appearance. He'll face Brandon Crawford leading off in the 9th. And first pitch slider outside for ball 1.
I don't know if he's going to go the whole inning. Had a couple saves in Binghamton, but being very impressed with his breaking ball so far.
Well, you got the lefty Crawford leading off, then 2 right-hand batters to follow. I wonder if he gets Crawford out, would you run with him?
You could with a 2-run lead.
Yes.
Got Seawald up in the bullpen. He faced Crawford in Monday night's game and gave up a broken bat hit. Pitched a third of an inning in that game. He's behind here 2-0, and he gets the slider in for a strike. And it's got to be so difficult for a left-hand hitter, that ball coming from behind you.
It's a sweeping breaking ball. That's what you call it.
Crawford 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. And he swings and misses at the slider, and it's 2-2. Well, Zamora came to the Mets out of Double-A with a reputation as a guy who threw maybe 50% sliders. He's throwing 80% sliders
easily.
2-2 coming. Another one fouled off.
Oh, if I've ever seen him throw a fastball yet. There's the grip. He takes that pointer finger off the ball, puts all the pressure on that middle finger.
Austin Slater on deck, then Gorky Hernandez for the Giants in the 9th. 2-2 coming. And he fouls back that slider, had a little better swing at it. 6 different Met pitchers have saved games this year. Familia had 17 before he was traded. Gazelman 7, Swarzak 3, Lugo, Blevins, and Rame with 1 apiece. 7th pitch of the at bat coming to Crawford, and a fastball just outside. Tried to surprise him, but now it's 3-2.
A 3/4 delivery, but outside, not able to stay in the strike zone. Back to the slider.
Yep. 3-2. Popped up. Conforto toward the line. Plenty of room. 1 out. Nice job by Zamora. His work is done. Mickey Callaway is going to bring in the right-hander. So Zamora is not going to get the chance to finish it. That will fall to Paul Seawald, who will look for his first save of the season and the first of his career. 5-3 Mets in the 9th. Paul Sewald will try and get the final 2 outs.
For his first save this year.
In fact, in his big league career, 93 games, no wins, no saves. He had 71 saves in the minor leagues and 20 wins over 7 minor league seasons. But trying to notch his first big league save tonight. Austin Slater homered his last time up. He's gone 2 for 3 tonight. His first home run of the year. And he takes a strike, 1-1. Well, Zamora continues to impress. Getting the lefties out. Tyler Batchelor will be the safety net for Sewald. Lugo apparently not available tonight after working an inning last night. And the slider off the plate to Slater, 2-1. Gorkys Hernandez on deck. Then the pitcher's spot. Keep in mind Andrew McCutchen is available in the Giants dugout, but it's Alan Hansen who's on deck at the moment to bat for Hernandez in the 8th spot. Fouled away by Slater, 2-2. So you figure Hansen for Hernandez and then McCutchen for the pitcher. And there's Andrew with the bat. They also have Hunter Pence sitting in the dugout behind McCutchen. Two from Sewald. And he fouls away the fastball.
Slater's taking some good at bats tonight.
Austin Slater, who grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. His grandfather was the longtime mayor of Jacksonville.
Really?
Which, of course, is also the hometown of Daniel Murphy. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there is a statue of Austin Slater's grandfather.
Really?
In Jackson.
How would you know that?
Well,
been there, seen it?
He was the longtime mayor. It was a big deal. I got another fact for you in a moment.
Okay.
Ground ball hit right at Reinheimer, has plenty of time and throws him out 2 down. Do you know that Jacksonville is the largest city in the United States by area?
Really?
Yes, it's very spread out. And they incorporated all the surrounding areas. So by area, it's the largest city in the United States.
So it's bigger than Houston, Dallas, L.A.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So New York, most populated. Jacksonville, largest by area.
You're becoming the minister of useless information.
I'm trying my best, Keith.
That's one of the Lynch's lines.
Lynch, useless information trying to fire your imagination. So the Giants are down to their final out. And now Alan Hansen will pinch hit for Gorkys Hernandez. Hansen started the first 2 games of this series, went 1 for 8. That was that pop fly double about which we have talked so much. The shortstop Reinheimer shaded toward the bag at second. That's blue foul, 0-1. Maybe not quite as close to the bag as Rosario was the other night with Wheeler on the mound, but still shaded that way. And Conforto still playing pretty deep and left. So there you go. Nothing's changed.
Frazier taking away the bunt.
Sewald looking for his first big league save, trying to nail it down for Noah Syndergaard, who is in line for his 9th win of the year, which would be the most on the team. Fouled away. Now the Giants are down to their final strike.
That's 2 swings where Hansen's bottom hand came off the bat. 2 in a row.
Oh-2, hooked foul. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Paul Sewald picks up his first major league save, nailing it down for Noah Syndergaard, who went 6 strong innings. The Mets hit 3 home runs, including Dominic Smith's 2nd of the year. And the Mets have taken 2 of the first 3 from the Giants, winning tonight 5-3.
Well, congratulations to Paul Sewald. His first save. home run for Dominic Smith in his first at bat. Boy, he needed that. Syndergaard with a strong outing.
Also, McNeil again early in the game, 2 straight hits, had 8 consecutive base hits. That came to an end in the 4th inning, but he had another fine night. He was in the middle of things, drove in a run, so he keeps the beat going.
And the Mets will have a chance to win a series tomorrow afternoon with Jacob deGrom on the mound as Sewald finishes off the save by striking out Ellen Hansen. Tonight's game summary presented by DraftKings. Syndergaard with his 9th win. That's tops on the staff despite missing a month and a half. Sewald with his first save. Smith, Bautista, and Frazier all go deep in the Mets' 5-3 victory tonight. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $140,000. Nice night for Paul Sewald. Came into the night without a win or a save in his big league career. 71 saves in the minors, and now his first in the major leagues for the Las Vegas native. A couple more hits for Jeff McNeil as the Mets continue to get a look at their future. Mets win this one 5-3. More coming up from Citi Field in a moment.